should be around 434. This is how I start my process each year. I pretty much try to narrow down an arrow. Welcome to the channel, Dan with ElkShape. We're gonna go over my 2025 arrow build for elk. I don't know what it's gonna weigh until we're done with it, and we'll look at a couple different options, and then we will move into the tinkering season of selecting the right broadhead to match the front end. So first things first is I'm gonna put this lift 29.5 in the drawboard with the blank shaft and see where to cut this arrow. So I wanna give myself enough real estate to flex on whatever bow I'm gonna be using. The rest came up when the stops were about an inch away from the cables. That's ideal, so our length of our cord on our MX2 is healthy. We're gonna mark with a Sharpie where to cut this arrow. We have a mark, and so I am taking in consideration a couple different options for building this arrow's components. Those component offerings, one is you could probably do like a typical half out from name the brand. Let's just use Josh Jones Podium. I've ran his stuff in the past. He's got like a 5mm half out that fits, most 5mm offerings, one in a 50 grain. He even has one in a 35 grain, both made out of titanium. I like that. He's done 2-piece ones as well. Then Easton came out with their match grade half outs, which are a 55, which is, anodized aluminum. And they are nice because it has a collar and it's got an O-ring and it fits really well. But it is aluminum, if that bothers you. Then they have a 75 grain offering, match grade, and these are sold separately, so you'd have to buy them separately. And that one's at 75 grains, and I believe it's basically a combination of aluminum and steel. I'm not gonna use either one of those. I'll show you what I did on the last arrow build and what I'm changing for this arrow build. I'm gonna try to get this fairly on the light side and give me a lot of freedom to bump up based on broadhead weight, 150, 125, 100 grain. Let's go. So the 300 spine is what I'm gonna pick. I could probably bump up to 340 spine and get an even lighter GPI, but 300's been where I feel like I'm definitely going stiff enough. Let's weigh the nock that comes standard with it. It's a new nock from Easton in 2025, and it weighs 8.0. Another thing with Easton is I'm not gonna cut a little from this side and a little from that side, assuming that in the middle of this is the most consistent. Easton's made, this is 0.001, so I can expect that I'm not gonna have to really nock tune, although I might, just to check, but the wraparound spine tolerances should be very much equal throughout. I should have the most consistent arrow. That's why I picked match grades, to save time and to have all my arrows uniform. I'm probably gonna run lighted nocks. I know I'm gonna run lighted nocks. And so there's a few options here to check out. These are from Amazon, made in China. And I've heard that these are actually pretty decent, so I'd like to test them. But first I wanna kinda know what is the weight that I'm gonna have to go. I don't like adding weight to the back of the arrow. So each tab is like your 4mm, 5mm, probably 6.5. So let's try the second one. Amazon special, let's see what it weighs. With the sleeve, 18.4. And it does have a little button to turn it on and off. I do like that, so we'll set that there. X nock for this is what you need. And it weighs 23.6 grains. But honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards these Amazon ones. They're pretty cheap, decent fit. I'm choosing to use the hit that comes with the match grade setup. It weighs 16 grains, it's aluminum, but I'm gonna pair that with the number 2 collar. So this weighs 16 grains, and then the collar, I believe, also weighs 16 grains. So let's do the math on that in a second here. I just wanna confirm. It weighs 18, so 18 plus 16. So 34 grains versus what a lot of people do is use like maybe, and I've done this in the past, like the brass break off, and it's 50 or 75 depending on if you break it off or not. Same hit insert system. It's just like, I don't want that weight in the hit. I want the weight in the broadhead, and then I can decide if I want to go up to even a 150 class broadhead. So when you're gluing these in, it's good to probably use epoxy, especially if it's your first time. I'm not gonna do that because I'm doing so many right now. And so what I'll do is just get some super glue and just get enough right on there. And you gotta kind of act fast. I'm gonna go in right here, and then I'm just gonna turn it. Take a little bit of paper towel, dry it off, and that's literally all you have to do. Give it just a few seconds. You should be able to even screw in and unscrew. All right, and then you take your collar, and you don't have to glue your collar on, and it's good to go like that. I am gonna glue these collars in. I don't plan on changing. So just a little dab of glue there. Push it down. Wipe off any excess, and you are set. And we haven't added our veins yet. We know that our veins weigh 6 grains each, so 18 grains. This is a 125 fill point, so let's go ahead and screw that in. So before I add any weight to the back, we're at 391. So if I add 18 grains, that's gonna be 401, 409. So real close to 410 grains total arrow weight if I run a 125 point, which will be the lightest I've used. I've used 425, but I am trying to kind of come around right around 410. That's gonna be good. If I do use a lighted nock, which I probably will, it's going to bump the weight up, 10 more grains. So it could weigh close to 419, 420. All right, let's see what happens. I just fletched this up. So this arrow, I cut carbon to the throat of the nock at 26.75 inches, and my draw length's 27. And then the collar's over the top. Collar weighs 18, and the hidden insert weighs 16 grains. And then I threw a 125 match grade fill point on there. We threw 3 veins on the back that weigh, I think, 6 grains each. These are the hybrid HP high profiles. It's kind of the vein that I'm just sold on right now, and I'm not in a tinkering mood. I want a crazy offset helical, 6 degrees with the Arizona Mini Max to the left, and I like the way this steers a fixed broadhead. So total arrow weight, we were guessing 410, 4091, baby. That's with a 125 fill point. So if we test this out with an iron wheel wide, 150 solid, should be around 434. What do we got? 435 with a 150 grain chunk of metal that's very sharp and can go through anything. That's a pretty good elk arrow weight, 435, shooting, it's probably gonna be like 295 feet a second with 80-pound bow, 27-inch draw. That's a lot of good energy. And so we'll test that. I'm also interested in testing the Slick Trick 4-blade chisel tip SS. It's the Magnum SS stainless steel, and it weighs 124. So I want to test that. And this isn't a broadhead video today, but this is an arrow video today, and this is my elk arrow. Like this is where I'm working from. I've built the platform, and the finishing pieces will be which broadhead. Speed?
301.1.
301. Cayuga. Awesome. This is how I start my process each year. I pretty much try to narrow down an arrow and then work from that arrow, changing components out. The only thing different today is that I am 1000% gonna use a lighted nock in 2025 for sure for filming. I did that in Texas and I really like it. But for now, in the off season, we're gonna stick with IP5s. Separation is in the preparation. What do you think of my arrow build? Am I setting myself up for success? I sure hope so. If you guys have any questions, comments, put them below. Make sure you're subscribed if you like hard work. We'll catch you on the next one. Up a little. There. Pretty flat shooting, my goodness.